ESPN 94.1 FM and AM 930 present The Drive.
It is Thursday, August 27th. Your drive begins now on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. I'm your host, Paul Swann. Glad to be back with you. We had baseball action yesterday. Unfortunately, Pirates game was on when we usually come on, so we had to take a day off. Back with you, though, and glad to be here. Our text line brought to you by Clark's Pump and Shop, 304-396-TALK, 304-396-8255. We'll clear out some texts we got yesterday before we continue, and of course, we will get you caught up in everything that is happening today. I've been following along best I can, and this thing is so fluid, and that's going to lead into a text that I got earlier yesterday from a listener who listens on the podcast, so I want to make sure that we get to that one. But the rules are coming out now. The leagues are basically saying, look, we're going to come out with our own rules. We're just going to come out, and there's been variations upon the rules. So if you're a player that is left and then you've entered into a professional contract, and there's variations on this, now you're looking at the NCAA rulings and thinking, hey, I can get that fifth year of eligibility back, and I'm not really tearing it up here. If you were a class of 2022 member and you're a first, second round draft pick, third round, you've got a really pretty good slot. You've got a pretty good shot of making some substantial money. Obviously, you're sticking around, right? You're not just hopping back for the fun of it. If you're on the fringe and you're looking at, okay, this isn't working out for me right now as well as I thought it could be. I'm probably going to get cut, or I'm going to make the practice squad. And so I want to go back, get that fifth year of eligibility that all these other people are trying to get. At the same time, I'll get NIL money. That's going to be a little bit more substantial than maybe what I would make as a player on the scout team. I'll get an opportunity to kind of get better, maybe make a little bit more of a name for myself here. But if you've already been in the NFL, I don't think you can be redrafted. I don't think you can just, hey, I'm going to be eligible for the draft. No, the draft is over. And then you signed a professional contract and you signed with an NFL team. So now you're a free agent. So there's not as if there's going to be big-time draft money coming. I don't think that's the case anyway with some of these thought processes that, hey, I go back and then, I'm going to get drafted. No, you've already been through that process, and I don't think the NFL is here for that noise. So we'll follow along with that. The SEC, the Big Ten, the Big Two that really got this thing going first with the Big Ten, the Big 12, ACC are following along. Nothing in formal writing, but the Sun Belt pretty much saying as well, we're going to follow along with this. What if, though, we've thrown this out? What if some of these G6 schools go, hey, we'll take those NFL players. I don't think that's going to happen, but what if? But yeah, we'll take those players. Sure, we'll take you. Come on in. It's just ridiculous right now where everything has gone so far. And I just don't think that the NCAA has handled this very well. It wasn't a smooth transition. But at the same time, I get what the NCAA is doing. It's like, look, we got to cut somewhere. We have to make a cutoff. And so here's the cutoff. Here's the rule. And the NCAA has decided we're going to make the cut now, and we're just going to weather the storm, and we're going to fight it. We know it's coming. We knew that this would not be popular with a lot of student athletes that pretty much thought their eligibility was over, and then, oh, hey, wait a minute, this isn't fair. We want to come back. So the NCAA is fighting and being successful down the line. But there are so many cases, we'll find out ultimately which side wins. And the timetable for football, it's got to be running out soon. I mean, if someone becomes eligible mid-season, you got to stay enrolled in school. You can't just like show up and go, hey, I'm going to play football. You got to be enrolled. You have to be enrolled in classes. You can't just walk on the team one day off the street and go, yeah, you have to be a student, right? You have to be a student to participate. That's the whole point. And I know we're going to get to that point where the conversations are going to be, why do they have to be students? Why can't they just be the Marshall football team? Why can't they just be the school's football team? Why can't it be just a sports academy? The Marshall Athletic Department transitions, along with other athletic departments across the country, into sports academies where you go here to play football, play basketball, play your particular sport for several years, and then you move on to the next level possibly. You get drafted. You go pro. Why can't you just do that? Is probably going to be the conversation we hear next. So we're going to get into all of this and your text, 304-396-TALK, 304-396-8255. So we've got an interesting text I want to get to. And with the show being off yesterday, texter wrote in and said, after going back and listening on Tuesday, said, Paul, so is Mayor Ilderton and Boogie eligible now, or is it a wait and see? I'm so confused. Will Boogie play versus Penn State? I think the answer to that right now is no, because the student athletes that all of a sudden became eligible, that got relief, that federal court order has been stayed. It's paused. And now there is a new federal lawsuit that has been filed with several Marshall players. There are a couple Ohio players as well trying to fight for that eligibility. So we'll see. But the NCAA right now, in the case of these Marshall student athletes, they're not eligible to play on the team. Now, to the rest of your text, the texter said, a couple weeks ago, you talked about We Are Marshall versus We Are Penn State. Marshall has lost the ability, according to the texter, quote, Marshall has lost the ability to do it organically with the ads, canned music, etc. Henderson Center is the worst for getting a team on the ropes. They call a 30-second timeout, and we play a song instead of letting the band hit a song the crowd can cheer to, and the place goes quiet. Example, years ago versus UCF, we go on a big run, they call a 30, and the band plays a song. Every Herd fan responds with Go Herd multiple times. It keeps the juice up, but now at both venues, that is lost. Texter concludes, this is a long one, but I wanted to get to it. Texter says, still say a simple Go Herd. It is the best after first downs in football. Been a while, but as always, hashtag no country roads, even though I'm sure it will still be in the pregame. Appreciate the text. So there's a lot to unpack there. And I'm curious, is this a generational issue with the presentation at Marshall games? Are people, and you can help here with this as well, are people of a certain age desiring one style of presentation, and are younger fans desiring a different level of presentation? What kind of presentation will you think is appropriate depending on what your age is or what excites you? And it could be, and I'm going to give you an example. I love pro football. Okay? I'm a bigger fan of pro football. Not by much, but it is there for me. I can watch a different pro football game easier than a random football game on a Thursday night. Depends on the team, though. But still, overall, I'm going to lean a little bit towards pro football. The presentation is completely different, professional football. We've become accustomed to that presentation. We've grown used to it. It's going to be a lot different than the college game. There's going to be the canned music. You don't have a band. There have been times where we've had a drum corps show up, but for the most part, you don't have bands. It's an electric presentation. It can be done and be exciting, but there's a lot going on at a professional football game, and you're going to have to do a lot to entertain the fans, because if you're watching a game at an NFL football stadium, it's tough sometimes because you got to wait for the television to let us come back and watch the game. TV's got to make its money. TV's got to run a huge list of commercials, a large amount of inventory, so we can pay for all this, right? Okay, different presentation. Got to keep that energy up because it's a different game. Now, with college football, I like the organic nature. I like the cheers. I like the band playing. I'm not a big fan of show bands, so let me qualify this now because we have talked about this before. I'm not a big fan of the show band. I would prefer, just me, I would prefer a pure instrument-based band for Marshall. That's it. I don't want to see flags and other things. That's just a style preference for me. With that said and got that out of the way, that's why I wanted to say that first, because I would love to see just a huge sonic wall from the Marshall Band the entirety of the game. Now, I know that's not possible because that big video board up there is designed to show you the score. It's designed to show you the video replays and all that you are interested in. And it's designed to run inventory, commercials, which pay for a lot of things. So I don't know what the balance is going to be there. And, of course, you remember a few years ago, Coach Huff comes in here, hey, we got to have a house DJ. And there are a lot of young people that are totally on board with that. I want a DJ. Yeah, play some stuff we like. And to kind of counterbalance this, and I'm not speaking ill of the columnists. I'm not. But I would just giggle a little bit at Chuck Landon when we were in the press box. I'm like, Chuck, do you like this song? No, I don't. And Chuck was of a different era, different age. He didn't like all that canned music or some of the song selection. And so that's why I asked the question, is this an age-based thing? And, of course, I have opened it up because our next text, and again, I'm not disappointed by this. That means we are getting close to football season. I'm getting all the hits coming back. Texter says, Paul, honestly, Friends in Low Places by Garth Brooks really gets the fan base fired up at both the Henderson Center and Joan C. Edwards. We should really lean into that more. Your thoughts, Paul? I'm not going to sing it with you. You can sing it. I'm good. Go ahead. I'm not. Why don't you bring back all my favorites? Bring back Baby Shark 2, Cotton Eye Joe. Yeah, bring all my favorites back. Absolutely. Let's just have a sonic wall of Garth Brooks, Friends in Low Places, Baby Shark, and obviously, I'm a big fan of Cotton Eye Joe. Totally. That would get the atmosphere really going at the Henderson Center and, of course, at Joan C. Edwards Stadium. I appreciate the text. Totally not disappointed by this listener base. No, you guys are the best. I appreciate it. 304-396-TALK is the text line, 304-396-8255. That's what we do. We have fun. We talk sports again. This is the fun part of the day. Thanks for being a part of it. I'm glad I can be with you as well here on today's edition of The Drive. Metro Community Federal Credit Union now brings you all the tech that big banks have, but still has that personal touch of a member-owned community credit union. Apple Pay? Got it. Digital wallet? Yep. Message pay by text, online loan payments, even chatting with a real person, not a bot. Open accounts, sign documents, and manage your money all online. It's the big bank tech you need from the local community-minded credit union you trust. Metro Community FCU. Visit metrocommunityfcu.com today.
Here's another Kindred Communications community chat or registration now open for the 49th Annual Southern Ohio Medical Center Run for Your Life. That event being held on Saturday, September 5th at the Southern Ohio Medical Center Live Center in Portsmouth. Participants can choose a 5K or a 10K race. For information, contact Southern Ohio Medical Center.
This Kindred Communications community chatter brought to you by Mark Porter Chevy GMC in Pomeroy, Ohio. Home of the Car Ferry. Online at markporterautogroup.com.
Warning. Final challenge detected. Threat identified.
Weekend boredom.
Threat level maximum. Power up required. Power up acquired. Live music, local art, food trucks, craft beer, video games, silent disco, community. Power level maximum. Mission ready.
Now that's more like it. Power up your weekend at Funkafest X, Friday and Saturday, October 2nd and 3rd at the Ritter Park Amphitheater in Huntington. Experience 2 unforgettable days of incredible live music, amazing food, local artists, artisan vendors, family fun, and so much more. Level up and save by getting your tickets now at funkafest.com. Special thanks to our executive and diamond sponsors, Vandalia Digital, Kindred Communications, The Loud, Marshall University Sustainability Department, Blinko Glass Company, WMUL, Graphic Solutions, The Good Time Show, and Digital Introspect.
Now that Wendy's has these new biggie deals, everyone in the family can get what they're craving, from nugs to JBCs. The parental units can get an $8 biggie bundle, the eldest who think they're so grown can get a $6 biggie bag, and the little one who can do no wrong can get a $4 biggie bites. You know, assuming they have a credit card. No, I'm kidding. We take cash too. 4, $6, and $8 biggie deals for the whole family. Only at Wendy's.
Price and participation may vary. Single items at regular price. Prices may be higher in Alaska, California, and Hawaii.
My dad passed away unexpectedly. Of course, it was awful in every way, but we are very grateful that he had life insurance. So even after he was gone, he was still able to provide for us. And that's why I have life insurance for my family. Ethos.com. They make it fast and easy to get covered. It's 100% online. You get a quote in seconds, and you can apply in minutes. You get covered the same day.
Get your free quote at ethos.com/game. That's ethos.com/game. Paid spokesperson. Time spent on application may vary. Online health questions required. Rates may vary.
Summer starts here. It's the Moses Automall of Huntington 9th Street Live every Friday night in Huntington. Presented by Michelob Ultra, White Claw, Big Timber, and Country Boy Brewing. Friday, August 28th, it's the final 9th Street Live of the summer with live music from The Chase. The Little Caesars Kids Zone is back and Go Mart Happy Hour starts at 5. Enjoy 9th Street libations from the Marshall Hall of Fame Cafe, Sip Downtown Brasserie, and Summit Beer Station, featuring Tito's, Milagro Tequila, Rebel Bourbon, High Noon, and Lucky One. The after-show party takes place at Jerks at Pullman Square. Bring your friends, bring the family, celebrate the season, and soak it up before summer is officially gone. Sponsored by Wendy's, Huntington Beverage Center, Sods, Apex Tech, The Great Outdoors Marine, Village Caregiving, Thoroughbred Express Wash, the City of Huntington, Marshall University, Blanco Glass Company, Marshall Health Network Arena, and Kendrick Communications.
Hi, Mom. Is Claire's birthday party today? Me again, Mom. Where did I put my history book? Hi. Sorry, forgot one last thing. Sometimes it's hard to concentrate. At school, I start looking out the window, and then I forget what I was supposed to be thinking about. I know it seems like I don't care, but I do. It's just difficult for me. Love you, Mom. Bye.
Join parents and experts at understood.org, a free online resource about learning and attention issues to help your child thrive. Brought to you by understood.org and the Ad Council.
This is The Drive on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. Miss an episode? Catch it anytime on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts.
We continue with this Thursday edition of Your Drive. Our text line brought to you by Clark's Pump and Shop at 304-396-TALK. That is 304-396-8255. We've got a day off from baseball. Pirates lose to the Padres yesterday 3-0. The Reds got the victory over the Giants 10-9, and the Guardians got the victory over the Angels 4-3. That is 7 straight wins for Cleveland, and we are off tonight with the Pirates. So no baseball right here on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. Here's an interesting one. Morehead State's in action, taking on Ohio Dominican, playing host to them tonight at 6 o'clock. So college football back. We got NFL action and high school football action. Now, the NFL stuff's preseason, so that doesn't count. But the Bengals are at the Eagles on Friday. The Browns will play host to the Patriots. That's actually tonight at 8 o'clock, so I might tune in a little bit of that. Steelers are at the Bills tonight at 7 as well, so we got a couple of games that you can keep an eye on. Of course, high school football Friday night. Ashland hosts Lexington Tate's Creek at 7:30 at John W. Clark Putnam Stadium on 97.9 The River. Spring Valley will play host to George Washington, 7:30 tomorrow, right here on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. Cabell Midland will be at Oak Hill. Spoke to their athletic director today at 7 o'clock tomorrow. That'll be a 6:30 airtime on 92.7 and 98.5 The Planet. Texter writes in 304-396-TALK, 304-396-8255. That is the text line to be a part of today's show here on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. Texter wants to know my thoughts on the WSAZ announcement. Says that they think it's huge for Marshall. The old deal was so stale. I like to see what the content looks like. There's a lot of things that are going to be planned, I'm sure, and Keith and the crew at WSAZ will do a great job. So I'm not worried about the content. I'm just curious what the content's going to look like. And of course, we're going to be doing our own thing on game days as well, so I'm not going to just be able to see as much of it. I'll probably get to look at it a little bit. But initially, the thoughts are that WSAZ is a staple of the tri-state when it comes to television. there used to be a joke. This doesn't matter what was on WSAZ. People were just going to watch WSAZ. I mean, when I was a kid, people were talking about that. Look, it doesn't matter. Whatever's on WSAZ, we're just going to watch. We're going to watch the news, whatever. They could put on a puppet show, and people would watch that mostly over whatever else was on. And viewing habits have changed. Obviously, a lot of people get more of their content now through video streams. So you've got the WSAZ app. They do a lot of programming there. People listen to podcasts. People listen to, guys, talking heads on YouTube. Follow social media, Reels, TikTok videos. People are digesting content in a different way than once upon a time. And so if you're Marshall, you're looking to get out there the best way you can. And how do you do that? Well, you've got a television station that's based right in Huntington, and its primary focus will be Marshall. So that's going to be a plus for Marshall. With that said, though, I don't know if it's just a preference for some people. The television package is bounced here or there, and I think Mark Martin does a fantastic job at WCHS. So, I won't say anything to what the old package looked like and the programming that Mark was doing. I think Mark is one of the best. I think Keith is one of the best as well. So, I really don't want to compare TV station to TV station. I'm happy for Keith and Jimmy Tracy. I'm happy for those guys. They love Marshall. They'll do a fantastic job. I was happy for Mark Martin when the package was with WCHS. I think Mark does a fantastic job. Good friend. I like to think the same of Jimmy and Keith. So from that standpoint, it will be good for Marshall. It will be good. And it sounds like there's going to be different content, and it's going to be a higher output of content as well, because you've got the digital platform on top of that. So it's good. It's good. There's always room for more coverage of something you love, especially when it comes to sports. And they've got the resources, and they've got the manpower and the muscle to put behind it. So I think it's going to be good for Herd fans on game day and beyond. Does that include games over the air, though? Instead of just games on streaming, does that include games over the air? Does that prevent games from being over the air? It sounded like, to me, it was more of a content deal. And, of course, if there's any opportunity, if there are games that are not going to be necessarily on ESPN Plus, or if there's going to be preferential treatment when it comes to, hey, we've got the rights to this game, we can air it over the air. Okay, obviously it's going to go with our television partner, WSAZ. Yeah, I don't think it's going to be games that are streamed on the ESPN Plus app. That'd be something to bring Keith Morehouse in. That'd be an interesting conversation to have with him sometime, after the start of football season, because Keith's going to be very busy tomorrow. We can't get him on at spur of the moment. Yeah, I'm with you. It's always good. It's always good to see competition for your media rights package when it comes to television, because you want to feel like your product, your school, is a big deal. And to be fair, Marshall was just there. Marshall's just there on depending on where you're at in the state of West Virginia, Marshall's just there. The TV shows are just there. There is a larger group of entities that are covering West Virginia than Marshall. I mean, that's just the reality of it right now. There are more newspapers that are covering West Virginia than Marshall. With Marshall, you have HD Media. With the rest of the state, you have those entities, and more are covering the Mountaineers. You have more online publications covering West Virginia. You have more television stations across the state covering West Virginia, following the Mountaineers. And so to bring it back home, to have a television station where it's going to be the number one focus, it's going to be the primary focus. Not to say that the old package it wasn't, but it's going to be, when I think of Marshall University, you can't help but think of WSAZ, right? When it comes to television, you can't think of anything else but, because WSAZ is such an institution. And to bring it back home, 930 used to be WSAZ on the radio side back in the very day, over 100 years ago. This radio station is over 100 years old on the AM dial. Yeah, it's continuously licensed for over 100 years. And those call letters mean something. The hometown connection means something. So, yeah, congratulations to those guys. I was going to bring it up later, but since the texter brought it up, I wanted to hit it now. And here's an interesting question. I don't have the answer to this, but so will Mark Martin and Keith Morehouse still announce the televised ESPN Plus home games with this new WSAZ deal? I love their announcing on ESPN Plus. It reminds me of back in the day when Keith and Sonny Randall announced the games on WSAZ. I don't have the answer to that off the top of my head, only because this deal is pretty new, and I'm not sure what the ESPN Plus plans are going to be. But again, the ESPN Plus deal is different than the television deal because, again, Mark works for one company, Keith works for another, and they were working together on the ESPN Plus broadcast. So when there is that opportunity, I think it is very feasible to happen. Of course, Mark works with the radio network with Steve Martin, or he has in the past. I don't know if anything's going to change there. I don't think so, but I'm not informed, so I'm going to go with my best guess and say, hey, I think everything stays the same. But you know what? There could be some interesting opportunities there in the future to bring some people on as well. But Mark, Keith, I love listening to them. When they were doing the game together, I really enjoyed it and thought that they did a great job. I enjoyed listening to – now, I'm going to lean towards radio. I'm always going to gravitate towards radio. But I enjoyed listening to Steve and Dave Wilson call the game together as well. I thought they did a fantastic job on football. But I go way back with Dave, so I'm a little biased. I will be honest with you. The bias is there, but I'm also a big supporter of Dave Wilson, and I always have been ever since I knew him from his days at WMUL with the college radio station. He interned for me before he began his his paid radio career. So, I like the pairing there. And sometime in the future when Mr. Cotton says, I think I'm done with this. I don't know when that day will be, but I would lean towards Dave being the guy to take over and be the play-by-play voice for the Thundering Herd. It just makes sense for me. But there are a lot of talented Marshall alum out there that have gone through the broadcasting programs. And so that would be open season for resumes and tapes and trying to get that squared away. We'll get more of your questions. And again, I'll try to get Keith on here in the next few days, sometime next week after high school football has officially got underway. So we can get him on here, let him explain a few more things. I'll see those guys in a few days, so I'll ask him a couple of questions. And that's the reason why things like this are interesting, because we care about the people who call the games. We care about the connections. Steve Cotton has that huge connection with Herd fans. Keith Morehouse has that connection with Herd fans. Mark Martin has that connection with Herd fans. And so we really care about those connections. And honestly, it's an embarrassment of wealth right now with those guys calling the games, both on the TV and radio side. Yours humbly, hopefully I have a connection with you. Thanks for tuning in. 304-396-TALK, 304-396-8255. This is The Drive.
Hometown Chevrolet is your home for the new 30-mile-per-gallon Chevy Trax SUV with 2.9% financing available. They also have 0% financing for a full 5 years on new 2026 Chevy Silverado 1500s, plus no payment for 90 days and free oil changes for life. Their used vehicles are priced to move with the payments you want. From low APRs to credit rebuilding, they've got you covered. Together, let's drive. Hometown Chevrolet, Waverly, Ohio. The heartbeat of America. Everything you need right here at home. Offer ends 8/31/26.
Looking for a financial partner that puts people first? At Huntington Eyes Federal Credit Union, you're more than just an account number. You're family. Whether you're buying a car, saving for the future, or looking for a checking account that fits your lifestyle, Huntington Eyes is here to help you with friendly local service that you can trust. Stop by the main office at 481 West 8th Avenue in Huntington, or learn more online at huntingtoneyes.com. Huntington Eyes Federal Credit Union, serving our community and helping our members achieve more, one financial goal at a time.
Summer starts here. It's the Moses Auto Mall of Huntington 9th Street Live every Friday night in Huntington. Presented by Michelob Ultra, White Claw, Big Timber, and Country Boy Brewing. Friday, August 28th, it's the final 9th Street Live of the summer with live music from The Chase. The Little Caesars Kids Zone is back and Go Mart Happy Hour starts at 5. Enjoy 9th Street libations from the Marshall Hall of Fame Cafe, Sip Downtown Brasserie, and Summit Beer Station, featuring Tito's, Milagro Tequila, Rebel Bourbon, High Noon, and Lucky One. The after-show party takes place at Jerks at Pullman Square. Bring your friends, bring the family, celebrate the season, and soak it up before summer is officially gone. Sponsored by Wendy's, Huntington Beverage Center, Sods, Apex Tech, The Great Outdoors Marine, Village Caregiving, Thoroughbred Express Wash, the City of Huntington, Marshall University, Blanco Glass Company, Marshall Health Network Arena, and Kendrick Communications.
11-year-old Hazel lives in a place that's rich in many things, but not money. As a young child, her job is to play, grow, and learn. But for kids like her in the world's poorest places, poverty gets in the way. There was a time when Hazel had to trek more than 2 hours every day to collect water from a dirty river. Once, when she got a life-threatening infection and her mother had no money for a hospital, Hazel nearly died. But thanks to Child Fund supporters, Hazel and her community now have clean drinking water and access to healthcare. And Hazel has a better chance to fulfill her potential. Child Fund works in 24 countries to make sure children grow up healthy, educated, self-sufficient, and safe, wherever they were born. Why? Because Child Fund knows the promise inside every child is greater than the poverty around them. Learn more at childfund.org.
Imagine being denied an apartment because of your religion, or your race, or because you have children, or a disability.
It's so wrong. Yes, but who has the power to stop this?
You do. Each of us has the power. The law is on your side. It's illegal for landlords to discriminate because of race, color, religion, sex, national origin, disability, or familial status. If you suspect that you have experienced housing discrimination, file a complaint with HUD immediately so we can investigate it. Fair housing is your right.
Use it.
To learn more, visit hud.gov/fairhousing. That's hud.gov/fairhousing. Or call 1-800-669-9777. 1-800-669-9777. A public service message from HUD in partnership with the National Fair Housing Alliance.
Hi, this is Dave Wilson, host of Metro News Talk Line, and you're listening to The Drive with Paul Swann on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930.
We continue with your Thursday edition of The Drive. Our text line 304-396-TALK, 304-396-8255. I know it's almost game week because we're getting some of our old familiars coming back. We appreciate everyone being back with us, and we've had some interesting texts come in so far. Of course, the news earlier today that WSAZ is going to be the new television home for Marshall Athletics. So that's a big deal for both WSAZ and for Marshall today. And a lot of Herd fans are excited about that. We've been talking a little bit about what that coverage might look like. And again, it's a new deal. All I know is that Keith and the crew at WSAZ will do a fantastic job. And you never know. You never know. It could turn into something we've never seen before as far as what their capabilities are. They could do a lot of different things with their app. And, of course, we're going to do as much as we possibly can on the radio side. So, I'll tell you what, though. I'm going to be and I haven't mentioned this yet before we get to the text line. I haven't been told I can't say this, so I'm just going to go ahead and say it. We've got a new home for the pregame show. We're going to be at the Huntington Mall Buffalo Wild Wings. I was up there a couple of days ago and scouting out the location for where we're going to do our pregame show. Now, used to be we'd go somewhere different and do this thing. And so Huntington Mall Buffalo Wild Wings is like, hey, we want you. Come on up. Cool. We're there. They got a crazy amount of televisions in there. It's going to be fantastic. So I'm just going to start hyping that up now. For the first road game, I'm going to be doing our pregame at Buffalo Wild Wings. This is 3 hours before every Marshall broadcast. This will be a great opportunity for you to claim your space if you're going to be watching the game at Buffalo Wild Wings at the Huntington Mall. Get your takeout. I'll remind you all next week where we're going to be and how we're going to do it. All right, let's get to the text line. We've got a couple come in, 304-396-TALK, 304-396-8255. Texture says, I'm laughing a little bit at this. If you're genuine, thank you. This is good. I did not make this up. Texture says the Mount Rushmore of Marshall sports coverage currently is Steve Cotton, Mark Martin, Keith Morehouse, and the Paul Swann. Changed my mind. Okay, you said currently. Okay, that's good. All right, I'm going to go with Steve Cotton, and I'm going to go in alphabetical order, Mark Martin and Keith Morehouse. So those are the three, the Mount Rushmore currently. It would be disingenuous of me to put myself up there on that Mount Rushmore because I think there are a lot of people that are doing great work out there. I would add that Tyler Kennett with HD Media does a fantastic job. He brings a different perspective to Marshall Athletics. He's the beat reporter for HD Media. He does a fantastic job. You could put him up there as well. I think Jimmy Tracy does a fantastic job with WSAZ. I think the folks at Channel 13 are doing as much as they possibly can, covering things across the state. I would be remiss to say, hey, you know what about Dave Wilson? You know, he's part of West Virginia Metro News, and, of course, he's part of the network coverage on your radio. So there are a lot of people. I thank you for that. I swear I did not put this texture up to this, and I did not make this up. But I appreciate the very kind words. There are a lot of good people out there, so I got to bring my A game. We're all here for the same thing. I just got to bring my A game, and thank you for making today, me part of your day today. All right, here we go. And I'll answer this. I've got a reason for my answer. Hypothetically, would you ever consider throwing your hat in the ring to take Steve's place when he retires? I think you do a great job, and yes, Dave Wilson would be a good replacement as well. Both radio and TV announcing teams are on point. I like both of them. Appreciate the text. I'm going to say no. I'm going to say no to that only because there are so many talented people out there that in a heartbeat would fill that spot. And I think you need someone who could be there for a lot longer. And if you're looking for long term for radio voice, I would say you bring someone in that's established. And if Steve would ever step down, then you would bring in a Dave Wilson, and he could be there 20, 30 years possibly. He's a little bit younger than I am. And so I would bring in someone like that. There are a few other people that I would mention as well that have come through the doors years and years ago. Robert Harper he used to work here and do a different version of the sports programming here. Robert Harper was always good. Don't tell him I said that, though. I don't want it to get back to me that I said something nice about Robert, but Robert would be someone you would, be interested in talking to. And again, I'm just throwing names out there. There are a few other people that work for different companies that I would mention as well, but I don't want to give them the big head. Let's see. Who else could we mention here that you might know? You might not remember Adam Cavalier. He's doing Carson Newman right now, and he does a fantastic job. He won the first ever Nance College Award, and so he was one of those generational talents at Marshall University in the journalism department. Just came in and just, set the standard for the next group of kids that came in. And there's a list of people that, you could look at and go, okay, hey, they would be a great next voice of the herd. It depends on the rights holder and, of course, and the university. I mean, those are things that will have to come into play. But, if you ever are up on that level, I think they've done a fantastic job with highlighting the history of Marshall Radio near the radio plaza, the radio booth. And so check it out. Take a look at that sometime. You can see some of the voices that have graced the radio over the years. I don't know. I like having conversations. I think I thrive best when I'm having conversations and I get to be curious, ask questions, get to know somebody, talk to them, interact with people. I think that's where I find the most enjoyment, just peeling layers and finding out a little bit more about people and telling stories. I think there's room for all of us, but I would throw out several names for that. And I truly believe the next voice of the herd needs to be somebody that's a little younger, that can grow into the position. And you don't want just like guys that are here 4 or 5 years. I really want somebody who, the next generation to be there and be somebody's generational voice. That's just me. That's what I would hope for. The guy or the lady that takes that job would be someone that has it for a long time and becomes a generational voice for the next group of fans coming up listening to the radio. But as we mentioned, people consume media completely different. I remember, the only way I could follow the Thundering Herd, especially the Hucks Herd years, I had to make sure I had my radio. I had to make sure the antenna was strung up and get a good signal. And that way I could follow the herd on the radio, find the radio listings. Marshall didn't have team line. You remember the team line? You just call that 800 number. They'd bill you'd listen to the game broadcast. You could put it on speakerphone. People would do that across the country. That was way before internet streaming. You could just dial up team line and listen to the game broadcast of the schools that were participating. So that was interesting. And now almost every game is broadcast on some platform. But I really think that radio is completely different. It's a one-on-one conversation. It's a one-on-one connection. And I think radio always trumps TV because the pictures are better in radio. Texter says, Paul, well, as long as you keep the drive at 5 going, we're good. Best sports talk radio show in the state. Thank you. I really appreciate that. That's very kind of you. Thank you. Quick timeout. We come back, and we will wrap it up on the drive.
Save big on everything for your landscaping project when you shop at Menards. Make it easy for you to enhance your outdoor living space with the largest in-stock selection of concrete landscape block. Ready to take home today. Create a fire pit or retaining wall with our tumbled Belgian wall blocks. On sale now. Save big on your landscape project at Menards. Plus, check out our weekly flyer on Menards.com for all the great deals happening now.
Save big money at Menards.
Metro Community Federal Credit Union now brings you all the tech that big banks have, but still has that personal touch of a member-owned community credit union. Apple Pay? Got it. Digital wallet? Yep. Message pay by text, online loan payments, even chatting with a real person, not a bot. Open accounts, sign documents, and manage your money all online. It's the big bank tech you need from the local community-minded credit union you trust. Metro Community FCU. Visit metrocommunityfcu.com today.
Looking for more than just a job? Build a career with CJ Hughes Construction in Huntington, West Virginia. For more than 80 years, CJ Hughes has been building the infrastructure that keeps our communities moving, and now they're looking for great people to join the team. They're hiring CDL dump truck drivers, Class A starting at $26.50 an hour and Class B at $23.50. They also have openings for heavy equipment operators, laborers, servicemen, and fusion professionals, pipe layers, and flaggers with competitive pay based on your position and experience. If you're reliable, have a strong work ethic, a valid driver's license, can pass a pre-employment drug screen, have a clean background, and are willing to travel, they want to hear from you. Enjoy competitive pay, medical, dental, and vision insurance, a company match 401k, paid vacation, and opportunities to grow your career. Apply today at cjhughes.com or call 304-522-3868. That's cjhughes.com or 304-522-3868. CJ Hughes Construction, safety, quality, production. Summer starts here. It's the Moses Auto Mall of Huntington 9th Street Live every Friday night in Huntington. Presented by Michelob Ultra, White Claw, Big Timber, and Country Boy Brewing. Friday, August 28th, it's the final 9th Street Live of the summer with live music from The Chase. The Little Caesars Kids Zone is back and Go Mart Happy Hour starts at 5. Enjoy Ninth Street libations from the Marshall Hall of Fame Cafe. Sip Downtown Brasserie and Summit Beer Station, featuring Tito's, Milagro Tequila, Rebel Bourbon, High Noon, and Lucky One. The after-show party takes place at Jerks at Pullman Square. Bring your friends, bring the family, celebrate the season, and soak it up before summer is officially gone. Sponsored by Wendy's, Huntington Beverage Center, Sons, Apex Tech, The Great Outdoors Marine, Village Caregiving, Thoroughbred Express Wash, the City of Huntington, Marshall University, Malenko Glass Company, Marshall Health Network Arena, and Kendrick Communications.
This fall, plan a getaway to West Virginia's state parks. Scenic hikes, mountain tram rides, cozy cabins, and brilliant fall color are all waiting along our country roads. Best of all, it's closer and more affordable than you think. Gather your crew and start planning now. Visit wvstateparks.com.
Listening to The Drive with Paul Swann on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930.
We continue with your Thursday edition. This is The Drive, ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. Let's get you caught up in everything that's happening tonight. We've got college soccer action. The Thundering Herd, the women, are at Belmont tonight, 7:30. The men, number 12 in the land, taking on UC Santa Barbara. That is coming up tonight, 10 o'clock. It's going to be on ESPN+. So if you are up late, you've got some college soccer to keep you company as we all root on the Thundering Herd. A couple other items that came out yesterday we didn't get a chance to get into because we didn't have a show based on the scheduling of baseball. Who puts a baseball game in the middle of the show? Come on. Carlos Del Rio Wilson named to the 2026 Hispanic College Football Player of the Year watch list. This is by the Hispanic Football Hall of Fame. This came out Wednesday afternoon. So more accolades and watch lists for Carlos Del Rio Wilson. I'm sure he's going to score a lot of hardware at the end of the season. I'm hopeful at least. Also, I know high school football is going to take up most of your schedule on Friday, but the Herd volleyball season will begin. It's the Marshall Invitational this weekend. Herd will take on Niagara at 1 p.m., and Bucknell at 7 p.m. There's a couple other matchups as well on Friday. Saturday, it's going to be Marshall and Ohio at 5 p.m. So if high school football is not your thing, you've got a full day on Friday and a couple of matches on Saturday of volleyball. You can watch the Herd take on Niagara, Bucknell, and Ohio Friday and Saturday if you can't go on ESPN+. So volleyball getting it set to start the season. The other thing we didn't get a chance to really get into this week, and it's interesting, the swimming and diving schedule is out. You got the green and white meet on the 19th. You've got JMU on October 30th, Ohio on the 6th of November, and then on January 15th, Cumberland's. And after that, everything is on the road. So you've got duels against James Madison in Ohio, October 30th, November 6th. And then you're all over the place schedule-wise. You're going to be at Fairmont. You're going to be at West Virginia, October 1st and 2nd. November 20th to the 22nd, the Liberty Invite. You're going to be in the Toyota U.S. Open in Austin, December 2nd to 5th. At FIU, December 16th. At Bowling Green on January 22nd, January 23rd at Toledo, January 29th and 30th at Duquesne, and then, of course, the American Conference Championships. There you go. A lot of events. Here was a program that we didn't think was going to have a program, just a few short months ago. That's going to do it for this edition. Thanks for being a part of it. You can find me on X at Paul Swann. I'd love to wake up in the morning and find more followers. Also, you can listen to the podcast. We try to get those up as soon as we can. Available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify. Just go to our website at WRVC.com. That's going to do it for this edition. Thanks for tuning in. I'll be back with you tomorrow for our Friday edition here on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930.
WRBC Huntington, W227BS Huntington, your flagship home of the Marshall Thundering Herd and The Drive with Paul Swann, ESPN 94.1 FM and AM 930.